All right. Anyways, that was stupid technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, trying to figure out whose ends it on.
Yeah. Don't you hate that? Because it's like you're sitting there, like both people are like, "Oh, dude, my internet's working great." No, well, so's mine. But it's just someone's messed up somewhere. It's
Yeah,
dumb.
we got a storm coming in, but that shouldn't I'm hardwired right in, so everything should be good.
Yeah, that's why remote podcasting is a fun challenge every time because, like, the other day I recorded one with somebody in Australia and worked fine without a hitch, no problems. And then there's times where you're recording with someone that literally lives like 4 hours away and it's just nothing, it's just not working for you. So it's a fun challenge.
Oh yeah, I get one of the guys I do my live streams with. He's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so his internet can be iffy all the time. So he can get choppy, and so it's a battle. Or yeah, the same thing. You have guests on, and it's trying to get they've never done it before, and trying to get set up, and it can be tough sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you've mentioned your live stream a couple times. Tell me about what you're doing with that.
So while it's on my YouTube channel as Skidder Kev, I do the guy who made our owns a company Easton Made Wood Splitters. They make firewood processors. Just happens to be the one we own. And me and him, we just started doing live streams together on Saturday nights, usually every few weeks or once a month. And usually have guests on and just kind of bullshit about firewood and what's new in the industry and just kind of hang out.
I love that. Bullshit about firewood.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Well, everything's different across, United States to Canada, how people, what a cord of wood is. Like everybody argues with that. It's a cord, it's a rick, it's a face cord, it's a bush cord. Everybody gets confused on that. And like anything, any industry, everybody starts arguing about it. And
oh, yeah.
It's a yard of dirt. Well, a yard of dirt packed is different than a yard of dirt loose.
Same concept, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wait, so what is the difference between a rick and a cord?
That should be the exact same thing. Okay. Yeah. Just area dependent. I find the Midwest seems to use rick, and we use cord where we are.
Okay.
Bush cord is like our area, and that just confuses everyone.
That's also the same thing, I guess.
A bush cord would be a full cord, which is 4 by 4 by 8 feet. So 128 cubic feet. So a rick would be a third of that, or a fraction of that.
Interesting.
And that's how you're supposed to sell it, as a fractions.
Oh. Yeah, I never knew what any of that meant. People would be like, "You want a rick of wood, like, to buy?" It's like, yeah. It's usually like a pickup bed worth. It's like, okay, that works.
Yeah, it's like people can get, pickup truck. Well, how big's your pickup truck?
Well,
are you a long box? Are you a short box? You're full size? Yeah. Roger Ranger? What do you got?
I just find that cool, just the different like subsets of the industries, the heavy equipment industry and all they do. And it's just like you have this guy who knows dirt real well. This guy knows concrete real well. This guy that knows wood real well. It's just, it's cool. Like it's funny how, like, up in your area, I'm guessing there's a lot of trees, a lot of logging and all that. And then you look at that and, you have guys that are just total nerds about firewood, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's what, we're wood. We're either logging or making firewood or supplying our own firewood to produce, right?
Yeah. So what is the whole operation that you're kind of involved in then? Like just from, logging and firewood, I guess, is just kind of whole spectrum? Yeah,
so we'll get basically a forester will go in and he'll mark trees, whether it's an ash salvage or just a select harvest. And he'll put a tender out for the landowner, and he'll have guys like us or my boss will put a price on standing timber. So firewood is marked separately than saw logs. So you would bid everything separate. So firewood would get a certain value. Maple saw logs would get a value. Oak saw logs would get a value, and you'd come up with a bid. You'd put that bid in. If you get the job, you go in and harvest that. So we'd go on 10 to 15 year cycles on our harvests up here.
Yeah. So that's, I take it, you or somebody else goes and plants the trees.
Nope.
No?
Everything. So we're hardwood here. We do everything on regeneration. So basically what the foresters are trying to do, if there is let's say they want to get the oak tree, release the oak trees to get them going, they'll cut maple trees or birch trees or beech trees around that to open it up to get sunlight down there to get the oak regeneration going on it. And then us in there disturbing the soil and stuff will get those acorns start sprouting, and you'll start seeing regeneration from the oak. But we do zero tree planting here.
Really?
In hardwoods, yeah.
Wow. So you go in and you cut it, and then it just naturally comes back on its own.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've done 3 harvests on one woodlot since my boss started. He's done 3, and it's due for another one.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy because a lot of people think the same thing. Oh, you're not replanting. Well, we don't have to. Not in hardwood. It's different. The West Coast is different. They, strip cut or clear cut, and then have replanting crews come in and replant whatever species is growing there that they want to regrow.
That's interesting. So every 10 to 15 years is enough for it to grow back enough for you to go and harvest it again, and then
start. You're only taking so much. So we're only taking out, 5 trees here. There's certain different, as a forester, they're using prisms and stuff to measure a basal area of how many trees are in this area, and then they figure how many trees they can take out. So you may see areas where there's giant holes. They're removing beech or ash trees, which are dying because of the emerald ash borer. And there'll be giant holes, and they'll just regen with, maple or oak, or we got a lot of sugar maple up here. So that's a lot of our regen up here. Same with maple syrup. That's why we got so much maple syrup here.
Yeah. Wow. So, okay. I didn't realize that. I know nothing about forestry and tree clearing and all that because there's not a lot of it in my area, or any of it for that matter, unless a tree falls down after a tornado. But, okay. So you go in and you say this land is worth this much because your boss or whoever's putting the bid in looks at the trees and says, this is how much product I'm going to get from this. And then you guys go in and clear that. And then from there, what do you do with the trees?
So we'll go in, we'll determine it's got this much value. This is what we'll pay for that. We'll come in and log it, cut them down, take the saw logs out and the firewood out. The firewood gets cut to length for the truck, so we can get it on our log truck or our subcontractor that we hire out for that. And firewood goes back to our yard, and the saw logs, whether it's veneer or just grade saw logs, would go to the mill, and they get bought off. The mill buys them off us. And we get whatever value they come back, whether it's veneer or standard grade lumber.
So are saw logs, are they just basically the main trunk of the tree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Majority of the time. Anywhere, yeah. So you see the main body wood up to the first crotch. That's basically what you're getting as a saw log.
Yeah. And I take it that stuff, since that being hardwoods, is probably what's being used for your furnitures and your good, durable, solid stuff.
Yeah. Whether it goes from flooring to what else? Your furniture grade to blocking, decking for floats and stuff like that. And then railway ties are the mill we deal with. They cut a lot of railway ties, so they're 7x9.
Gotcha.
And like I said, the firewood. We produce firewood in our yard. We basically, any stick of firewood we cut in a woodlot comes back to our yard if we can get it on a firewood processor.
Huh. Yeah. That's okay. That's neat. So that, I mean, none of that's being used for like paper products or anything like that either, right?
Not in our area. We have
your
no paper mills in our area.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. So what is the process of removing those trees, going in and harvesting?
So you can either hand cut, which you chainsaw and a guy on the ground to fell a tree over.
Yeah.
If it's too big and we have a hot saw head or a feller buncher head on one of our Kubota skid steers that we can basically cut trees down and lay them down and then hand top. And the boss just bought a FabTech cut to length processor that we're going to start using in the woods too. And it basically can fell a tree over and cut it to any length you want right in the woods and then pull it out onto the landing.
Yeah. I've seen videos of that stuff. Aren't those, is that on an excavator or is that on like a skid steer?
It's the FabTech is a purpose-built machine, like an excavator, but forestry built. So cab and everything is all armored with your Lexan doors or polycarbonate doors and windows and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Bigger motors, bigger hydraulic motors. I'm assuming like swing motors and stuff. I know the Tiger Cats are like that.
So is it like it'll cut the deal and then just kind of turn it sideways and then cut it into the right length?
Yep. Yeah, it's all controlled, all button, joystick controlled, like Sure Grip controls. Lay it down and feed it through. It will delimb, majority to a limit, depending on size of limbs. And whatever you're cutting, 100-inch wood, or if you want 12-footers up to however long, you just go up the whole tree and leave it 100 feet long if you wanted.
Yeah. That's pretty badass.
Yeah, well, it's all new to us, and I'm new to excavators, so it's. Have you ever seen the Family Guy Family Guy episode where he's trying to pick up the park bench?
Oh yeah,
that's what it's like trying to learn. But you just gotta slow and steady, and just kind of keep it simple at the beginning.
Yeah,
especially with all the buttons. It's not an excavator. You're running just a bucket. Well, now you're running your rollers, you're running your grab arms, you're running the saw. And
so is any of it automatic? Like, is there any of it that you just like hit, like program it in there for like, if you want a certain length, like you can say, I want this length and it'll automatically do that? Or do you have to kind of keep track?
Yeah, no, if you want an 8, so that it has a computer with pre-programmed lengths in it, and you just hit the button and it will zing off an 8-footer. You hit the cut button, hit your length again, another 8-footer or 10-footer, whatever you want. But that's all automatic and all in the computer system. I'm sure this is an 04. I'm sure the newer ones are even more. They got way more buttons, I can tell you that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Or like having a spaceship.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. So as far as like sustainability and stuff like that goes, I take it you guys have to have a lot of places that you probably have deals to clear, or at least several larger places. Because if you can only harvest a piece of land every 15 years, then you definitely got to have a lot of places to go, I would imagine.
Yeah, we stay like within an hour drive radius of us. And usually it's north or northwest. Kind of, you go east and you're heading kind of into Toronto. We try to stay out of. There's not much down that way or in Toronto, but it's becomes a pain in the ass because every single person thinks you're killing the world when you cut a tree down, and they don't understand the concept, and trying to explain someone that's already mad at you is just pointless.
Right. Yeah, because logging, I've learned the last couple of years just from my very minimal research, listening to podcasts, people within it and stuff, is the logging industry is actually extremely sustainable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The way it's been done.
We've been doing it for years and years and years, and we're still doing it. There's still trees. People just... And there's more trees now than there was 30 years ago.
Really?
Yeah. And people just don't understand that. My son in school, they go for walks, and he's like, oh, you can't hurt a tree. You can't do this. And I'm like, you know what I do, right?
I hurt trees for a living, buddy.
Yeah. Like, so then you take them for a walk, and I'm like, we did some public ground where we logged. Like, you can't even tell that we did it. You take them in there, you'd never even know. Like, the stumps are almost gone now, and we're coming up to log that again, or there's going to be a tender put out on it. But
wow.
Yeah, we did that, 11 years ago, I think, 12.
Wow. So what steps, I guess just walk me through, like, just kind of start to finish what you guys are kind of doing sustainability wise. I mean, like you said, you're only cutting certain parts and then you're letting that stuff regrow. What else is there to it as far as keeping things sustainable and actually getting more trees versus killing them all?
So, well, being, hiring a proper forester in for landowners to mark their timber. And then when you're logging it, you want to use basically better forestry practices. So when you're felling trees, you're not trying to save trees. You're not going to drop, a 30-inch tree on a save tree and smash it all to smithereens. Like that. That's where directional felling comes in, to put a tree down in a hole to save the surrounding trees, to stop felling damage or skidder damage, scarring up trees, running over saplings and stuff. You want to minimize your footprint. And kind of that's the way we've gone with the skid steers. Instead of using big, I know we got the Fab Tech, it's a 20-ton machine, I guess. Not 100% sure. And then the skid steers, they're SVL 95s. Small footprints, small area. You can go in. We do a lot of small woodlots. And you're doing minimal damage. You're in and out quick. Very little compaction. Very little root damage. Which helps, again, get stuff growing again, right?
Yeah.
Because if you basically went in and run everywhere in the woodlot and ran over all the saplings and stuff, 10 years to become a 6-foot whip, or 6-foot sapling, is gone. Now you got to restart that all again. So you want to take care of on how you log and how you drop trees and how you skid them out, and not running into every tree and damaging every tree. That's all. It doesn't help in the next harvest, nor running over stuff, right? That doesn't help.
Uh-oh.
At all.
I just lost you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there you go. I lost you at running into every tree and damaging.
Yeah. So, yeah, you don't want to do that or run over every sapling.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, yeah, you just got to be smart while you're in there in the woods. So are you guys basically in the woods every day, or is it more of like a seasonal thing, or how's that kind of work?
We're usually fall into winter. Like winter's our go time
Really?
In the woods. Yeah. We've been doing a lot of ash removal. So there's a lot of woodlots where basically all the ash is dying, and it's softer ground. So we need to freeze in trails and just to minimize rutting. rutting and being able to get in there, you lose a machine in a soft maple swamp pretty easy. So,
So why is all the ash dying?
there's a tiny bug that came over from Asia called the emerald ash borer, and it has killed millions and millions of ash trees.
Wow.
It came in a port in Michigan and just went up into Canada and went down in through the States, and it's just gone.
Just wreaking havoc, huh?
Yeah. And that basically came in when I started in the business, and it's just been constant ash.
So whenever trees are starting to show signs of the emerald ash borer, you just start taking them out while they're still worth something?
Yeah, pretty well. You'll see it puts like a little D-shaped hole in the bark, and it gets into the cambium layer, which is underneath the bark and underneath basically the growing part of the tree is a cambium layer, and it gets in there and lays some eggs, and the worm eats the bark, and that's it. It gets so much, the tree can only take so much and dies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's insane. I didn't even know about that.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ash trees I've cut.
Wow.
But it's going to come to an end. Within the next 5 years, we won't be cutting anymore. It will be done or too far gone.
Are ash trees going to go extinct because of this, or endangered, or?
I don't know if they'll be considered. I don't know if they consider them endangered yet. You get lots of smaller ash trees. Like they won't, the borer won't go in a tree, I think under 4 inches. Usually won't. So those trees are still all around. So once it moves on, they may get better. But if the bug comes back, they had stupid quarantine zones and stuff like that. Like it was just ridiculous. They'd be like, Highway 9's the quarantine zone. You can't ship anything north of there. I'm like, well, I'm logging this bush, and Highway 9's right beside us, and I can't ship over there, right across the road. Like, you don't think they fly? It was stupid.
That's what I was just thinking. How does a quarantine zone work on a bug?
It doesn't. It flies. Like, it's stupid.
Did it work?
Like, no. The quarantine zone just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it's all of Ontario, basically.
Jeez.
It's ridiculous.
God.
Like, just let it take its path, and you have to deal with it. If you can't treat it, it's like the gypsy moth. I don't know if you get them, or I guess I'm not allowed to see gypsy moth now, but it pisses the gypsies off, I guess.
You know, I got in trouble on Facebook it's probably been a year or two. I posted, and it's just on my personal Facebook. I posted it in our town's community Facebook page. There was a fly-by-night asphalt guys that were coming through town. And I said, hey, just want to let you guys know that there are some asphalt gypsies in town. And if they come to your door, do not hire them. I said, I've gotten several calls of people that have hired them to do very expensive work, and they're doing very shoddy work. If you need asphalt, we're the only people in town that you should call. We're the only established asphalt producers and laydown crew in town, so call us. And man, I got this lady on my Facebook who was like, you can't call people gypsies. That's a racist term. And this, I was like, racist? What? Evidently it is.
Yeah, I didn't know either. They've been calling this moth that for years and years and years.
Yeah, I've never heard any. If a gypsy's mad about it, I'll let a gypsy tell me.
Yeah, I don't.
I haven't ran into a whole lot of gypsies who've been like, boy, you can't use that term.
Sorry, we'll just call it the moth. I forget the spongy moth. Let's call it spongy moth now.
I like gypsy moth better.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was
maybe that'll just be the name of the episode.
Gypsy Moth?
Gypsy
Spongy
Moth.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, because I guess what you guys grow mostly pine plantations down there?
Not so much here. We don't have a lot of pine trees where I'm at. Now, you go to Broken Bow, Oklahoma, there's a lot of, I guess, I don't know a lot about trees. Pine trees, big tall pine trees down there. It looks, because it's right next to Arkansas, and Arkansas has got a lot of that. So kind of that area, you know, you got some logging operations, pine trees, all that. Where I'm at, it's just whatever. I mean, 100 years ago, we didn't even really have trees in our area. It was just all flat farmland. Then over the years, trees have started popping up.
Oh, wow. Like they're planting them in cities and stuff, or just vacant farmland?
Just farmland that's just trees, cedar trees. You know, they're very invasive. A ton of cedar trees here.
It's invasive there.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then just along the river, you know, they say that there used to be a lot of just cattle drives coming through here, and that kind of kept the tree population down. Then once they stopped driving cattle across the country, then that's whenever the trees started popping up and sprouting and all that. So it's just varieties.
Because you would be, what kind of cedars are there coming up there? That'd be, wow, that name escapes me now. Because it's not white cedar.
No, it's red cedar.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I can't think of the name of that. I know exactly, like it smells real strong. Like, yeah.
Smells wonderful.
Yeah. Aromatic cedar.
Yeah. Smells great. My grandpa. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, my grandpa used to do a lot of woodworking, and he would always go get cedar just because everybody loved it when he made stuff out of cedar to give to them because it just smelled so good.
Yeah.
Smells good when you burn it.
Yeah. It's either that or like closets and cigar boxes.
Yeah.
We're big for cedar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you can't beat it. I mean, it just smells so good.
Yeah. I'm almost like immune to it now. Like,
yeah.
We've logged some cedar bushes, and it's just, you just get used to it. Like, you don't notice the smell. People drive by and smell, and I'm like, yeah, I got nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. You just get used to it.
Yeah.
It's not like a porta potty. You never get used to the smell of a porta potty.
No. We had the fall fair. Our fall fairs this weekend. And I got there. I'm like, oh, I better use a porta potty. And I went in. I'm like, fuck. I should not have done that.
Dude, they're gross.
That is one thing about working in the woods. We don't have porta potties. I'd rather shit in the woods than shit in a porta potty.
Yeah, you've just got a shovel and some toilet paper, huh?
Yeah, shovel. That's what leaves are for. You just tip leaves over. No one else is out there.
Yeah.
Me and the boss, whatever. Check your, you just park the skid steer and you tell them I'm busy. They'll come over. Leave the blue shop towels alone.
Yeah, I don't touch the blue shop. Dude, I'll tell you what, though. That's the best kept secret is that blue shop towels, if they made that in toilet paper rolls, I'd buy it. Heartbeat.
Oh, I can't remember what podcast, they were cutting them into roll size.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember where I heard that.
Dude, I'm all about that. I mean, I've used those as toilet paper several times on several occasions, and yeah, man, you just best toilet paper out there. I think shop towel is missing out on a huge market there.
Oh yeah, they are. Yeah, you just make a toilet paper size roll. Yeah, we always keep one in your cooler and one in the machine. You never know.
You never know.
You're out there. It's it's one of those nature calls.
When nature calls, I gotta answer.
Yeah. That's right. You gotta be ready for that. Especially if you're in an excavator. Well, it's not like you can walk back up to the truck. That takes forever.
Yeah.
You don't got time for that.
Yeah. Yeah. And like to go find a bathroom or something, you just got to jump out and go.
It'd be too late by that time. Like all the wood, you're in the middle of, not in the middle of nowhere, but you're in the woods or in a woodlot. You're nowhere near a town, right? It's you're packing lunches, and we usually never go, like you're never going to a McDonald's or whatever to get lunch.
Yeah.
Not when we're working like that.
Yeah.
We don't have all the fancy places to get the hot food you guys always talk about.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have all the fancy, the fine dining gas stations.
No. I keep hearing like the Buc-ee's. I keep hearing about the Buc-ee's.
Yeah, I wish I lived closer to a Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is an amazing place.
I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'd go to Buc-ee's over like what's the fancy steakhouse chain, Ruth Chris or something like that. I'd go to Buc-ee's over there.
I guess they're only on the East Coast then?
No, they're like Texas is their main squeeze, and then they're kind of starting to move. Like I know there's one in Alabama, one in Florida. I'm sure there's some other places as well, but they're kind of mainly Texas, Dallas, Austin. I don't know where else they are. Those are the two I know because I stopped there.
Because I think there's one in, because my buddy was talking, it's either in somewhere on the I-95 going down to Florida, I think. Because he's stopping there for sure.
Yeah. It's a destination, man. Like you drive by one, you're like, yeah, I'm not even hungry, but I am now,
Well, what's the cleanest bathrooms around?
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, that's no lie either. I mean, you go in and it's like, dude, there's probably 100 urinals and like 30 stalls in there.
Jeez.
And it's just spotless.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you go into like a Valero on the wrong side of the highway or something, and they got one hole, and I don't think it's ever been cleaned before in its life.
That was like the one yesterday I used.
Yeah.
The wife was standing there. She heard I walked in. I'm like, Jesus. She's staring at me walking in. I'm like, not good. Don't use that one.
Dude, I went to this one in this tiny town the other day. It was actually like a burger joint, but it was like it was weird, a weird rest stop burger joint thing. I walked in this bathroom and there was a vacuum in the bathroom, and it had probably an inch of dust caked on the vacuum. Like they had all these cleaning supplies under the sink, and they literally all were covered in dust.
They've never been
used. I think this bathroom was built in the 70s, and that was the first time and the last time it was cleaned.
We'll put cleaning supplies in there, but we won't use it.
Yeah, and just for everybody to think we'll use it.
Oh, man.
It's like you go in there and then you're like, dude, I'll take a porta potty on 100-degree day over there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that definitely would not be fun. That I don't miss.
No.
We're always in the shade. You're there, you're in the shade.
Yeah, well, what's the weather like up there most of the time?
We just had last 2 weeks ago, we were like 105 with a humidity.
No kidding.
Yeah. It can get hot.
And then hot up there.
Yeah, the humidity's just a bitch up here.
Oh, yeah.
It'll just kill you. And then in the winter, you can get down to minus 40, but that's like an extreme in our area.
Yeah.
But we're usually, I got to try to figure out conversion, but we're usually about, minus 25 is kind of the average for the coldest Celsius.
Yeah.
And then, it fluctuates all winter, but the colder the better for us because we can freeze everything in. Everything pain to work in, but everything skids nice. You're not in the mud. You can freeze logs, slide better. So that's all easier.
You know, it's surprising to me how many operations in Canada, like I kind of figured a lot of stuff like that would shut down in the winter, but it's really your best time, like you're saying, because the ground's hard. You can move stuff in and out easier. And I take it you probably do fall, winter because there's less foliage on the trees. Is that kind of the ideal
Yeah.
there?
And we're, bird nesting in the summer. They don't want us harvesting then. And what's the other one? There's one other one they worried about. Like you guys, like PA, they've got the owls or the bats. Mm-hmm. They got to worry about them. So they wait for, the nesting, birds to hatch and leave. It's usually around either 1st of August or 1st of September, depending where you are. Mm-hmm. And then you can get going. But yeah, for us, it's better. And the bark. For us, if we're cutting cedar, the bark's slipping too much. It will be loose on the tree. And when they peel like a fence post out of it, it doesn't come off nicely in the peeler and just makes a mess for them. Huh. So coming into fall, the bark's starting to tighten up. So in the summer, you can look at a tree the wrong way and the bark will just peel right off. Really? In the winter, I can rub a tire against that same tree and that bark won't go anywhere.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it really tightens up in the winter, so that's handy too.
Huh. Wow, I didn't know that tree bark fluctuated like that.
Yeah, so the tree's growing. So our growing season's only, you guys are probably your growing season's probably all year, really. I would guess. Yeah. I don't know. Do your leaves fall off in the fall, or are they on all year? They do, okay. Yeah, so the season, when they fall off, or when they start growing back on, that's when that bark would be loose.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah. So it's in the spring, if your leaves are coming on, you're logging. In the summer, it's all summer will be like that. You touch a tree with a tire, just nick it, and it will peel off, a 2-foot chunk of bark off that tree. In the winter, I can rub a tire. I could leave black rubber marks on that tree, and that bark will still be there.
Crazy.
Which is better for the woodlot when you're logging. When you're skidding trees out and you're making a corner, rubbing logs and stuff on it, it won't peel the bark off, which is another advantage.
Yeah. So those low temperatures that you're talking about, is that pretty consistent in the wintertime, or is that just or do you still get nice days in the winter? Or how's that work?
Nice days are usually bad days. Yeah. It gets soft, right? And then you just get mud and water and stuff. So It's a nice day. It feels nice, but it's crummy to work in.
Pain in the ass day.
Oh, yeah. You get muddy logs, and then you got to buck them up. You're sharpening your chains all the time and stuff. So that usually sucks. So
is it just two of you out there doing it?
Huh. Yeah, it's just the boss and I. We're the only two. The odd time we have help come in, but not. It's hard to find guys.
Yeah.
That actually want to work too. We had tried a guy out last year, and he worked till noon and basically walked off the job.
Jeez, man.
I'm like, all right. I think it's ridiculous.
I've seen guys like that. They show up for a day. They even give you a full day, and then they don't come back.
Yeah, this guy, he works in the business, and he just didn't come out prepared. He didn't have the right footwear, the right clothing on. It was cold out. It was a damp cold, and just couldn't take it. And by 10 o'clock, he's like, I don't think I'm going to make the whole day. And by lunchtime, he was calling his buddy to come pick him up.
Jeez.
Whatever. Bye.
Wow. So, and he'd worked in the business before too?
Kind of. He's more of an arborist that's getting into as a logger.
Yeah.
So arborists are different they're the tree climbers and stuff. And then loggers stand at the bottom of the tree to cut it down. We don't climb them.
So arborists are they're the ones that put on the cleats and the belt and all that and climb up to the top. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I give it to those guys. Those guys, that's not for me.
I had a friend of mine. He was on the Oklahoma State wrestling team. He was from California, and he did
Yeah.
that. And I mean, wrestlers already are just batshit crazy and like missing brain cells. I say that because I hung out with a lot of wrestlers. But dude, this kid, his biggest thing is like he'd get drunk on a weekend. And they'd be like, "You want to see my chainsaws?" He'd just like he'd just take people out to his garage and be like, "Oh yeah, here's this one. Here's that." He'd have like 4 or 5 of them for different stuff, and he'd be like, "Here's all my climbing gear." And yeah, he climbed big ass trees and did that.
Yeah, you got to be in shape going. Like once you're up there, if you forget something or you just can't take it, like now you've got to come down and go back up. You don't go up there, get your job done, and come back down. Like, or work your way down, I guess, if you're taking a whole tree down.
Yeah. It's scary too. I've climbed up inside, like up tall trees, not knowing what I'm doing. Just climbed up and cut limbs off, and dude, I'll give it to those guys. That's a scary job.
Oh yeah, like you got to be tied in, and well, you probably weren't when you did it, but
no.
yeah.
No, I look at some of the trees I've cut. I haven't done that in a couple of years. Once I got old enough to know better, I decided it was time to just maybe hire people who know how to do that stuff.
And you're right. Sometimes it's better. I've seen stuff go bad. It's all over the internet. I can do it cheaper.
Yeah. I've seen some goofballs. One time, whenever I used to landscape, and we were working on a house, and next door they hired this guy, and it was the kind of guy and it was a nice house, like somebody who could probably afford someone good. And it was like literally the name of the company was just like cheap tree trimming or poor boy tree trimming or something like that. There's just this clapped out old truck. And it's just literally this dude wearing like jean shorts and a wife beater and a son who looked just the same. And they were on top of the house on the roof, or one of them was, and one of them was in the tree. And he cuts this limb off. He's like, "Oh, watch out." And then I just see the whole gutter of the house fall off with this tree branch.
Oh, man.
I promise those guys don't have insurance either.
Oh, and yeah, that's the other thing. The other thing, these guys are going around with no insurance. Like how like your fly-by-nighter guys, right?
Yeah.
No insurance. They screw something up at someone's house and they just leave. That's it.
Yeah. So how did you get into this business?
I didn't want to work in a factory and sweat my bag off in there, so I took the logging route.
Mm.
There's originally I was a factory worker and got laid off and farmed. I went that all went to the dodo. It like most manufacturing, it's going either south of your border or overseas, and that's kind of what happened with the lighting manufacturing.
Mm.
It went down to Mexico, and I got laid off. So I was either going to go backpacking in Europe or get a job. I'm like, it's a lot of money, and no one wanted to go with me, so I'm like, well, I guess I better get a job. And I grew up on a farm.
I love that ultimatum.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of money to spend, and you come back and you still don't have a job. So
yeah,
I still wish I did it, but everything kind of worked out in the end.
Yeah.
It was September, and basically the wheat harvest was going on out west of Saskatchewan. So I applied to a couple farms out there, and the guy said, "Well, we got 4 to 6 weeks left. It's up to you if you want to come out." I'm like, "Yep, on my way." Packed up my truck and drove out there. Did that for that year, and the following year I did a full season, so the planting and spraying, harvesting, and then the harvest as well. And that was quite the experience out there with those boys.
I bet. Were you like just working for one farmer, or were you doing like custom cutting?
Just one farmer. He family owned farm. They did about when I was out there around 10,000 acres, and they had guys. They brought guys in from. They had one from Mexico, one from Australia, a couple local guys, and then I think they had another one from Ontario as well.
Nice.
But yeah, they bring them in from all around. It seems like Australia does the big change because their farming's opposite to ours.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I guess that makes sense.
Yeah, so met a lot of the great people out there and had a good time, but it was busy. Like it's just straight work.
Oh,
straight farm. Like that's farming, right?
Yeah, harvest is blow and go, 100-hour weeks. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It was my one pay stub was 216 hours and 15 days.
Jeez.
Yeah. They don't do those hours now because they bought more equipment, more guys, so they don't have to work crazy. But it was one of those. You'd be working, you move to the new job, you're tired, and the boss would come on over the radio and, so you guys want to keep working? And you're like, everybody's texting back and forth like, fuck no. We'll go for another 2 more hours. It's like, fuck.
You boys want to keep working? No, we're good. Well, we're gonna.
And in the end, that's how stuff gets messed up out there, right? Guys are tired. It's 2:00 in the morning. You've been going for 16 hours. And then you repeat. Yeah.
Yeah. The town I live in is a farm town, and there's still a lot of guys that run like that. You know, they just go, man. They just go and go and go.
I get it. It's just, if you hire one more guy, you can cut back maybe on those hours. But
the worst part is in the ag world is they don't pay overtime.
No, nothing.
So if you're making $15 an hour, you're just making $15 an hour that whole time. It's pretty brutal business.
Yeah, because they don't even fall under the OSHA standards.
No, most of the time not. If it's a family farm or something.
Yeah, which is, man, there's some stuff we did out there, and I'm like, why are we doing it this way? Like, there's got to be a better way to do this, a safer way.
Yeah, it gets kind of sketchy out there.
So they do, basically the bags of floor dry, whatever, the 40-pound bags.
Yeah.
Their fertilizer bins, they put it in the very bottom to stop moisture from coming up through the bottom into the making the fertilizer go hard. Throw it on your shoulder and climb up the ladder, the side ladder up. And I'm like, why don't you put it in a backpack or something so you can use both hands going up the ladder? Like, so simple. I don't know, but
yeah, there's some sketchy stuff that goes on farms.
Oh yeah, I did it once, and I'm like, I'm done with that. I didn't mind the work. It was just, that was sketchy, and I'm not a heights fan.
Yeah. So you did that for a while, and then what was you've decided that wasn't for you, or what made you move on from that?
My wife. So we met before I went out the second time. I went on vacation to Cuba before I went out in April, and that's where I met my wife. She was down there on vacation too, and she didn't live far from me.
She's not Cuban, huh?
No, she's not Cuban. I get that every time I tell this story. It's like, is she Cuban? No. She was down on vacation as well, and she lived 40 minutes from me. And I'm like, well, let's keep in touch. And we did. We hung out, I think it was 4 or 5 weeks before I went out. And I'm like, well, if we can get through this, let's see what happens. If we can make it through this, we can make it through anything.
Yeah.
And I went out there, we worked. She came out and visited a couple times, and I came back a couple times, and now we got 2 boys.
Yeah, that's cool, man. What was Cuba like? I've always wanted to go there, but it's so hard, at least for an American, to get there.
It's stuck in the past. Like they're driving around like the 50 Chevs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's nice. It's beautiful, but it could use some. Maybe some people like that. The food isn't the greatest
Oh,
compared
really?
to
Surprising.
like if you've gone to like Mexico. I'm talking on the resorts,
Hmm.
but if you go to Mexico or whatever, the food's a lot better there.
Hmm.
For me, I'm not super fussy, like so it doesn't really matter to me. I'd eat anything, but they could use more money into the tourist industry there because it's either Canada or overseas, right? Where it's coming
Yeah.
from.
Yeah. Canadians or
For
Europeans, I guess, is about the only people going to Cuba.
yeah. Well, I guess it's opened up to Americans now, right?
They opened it up for a very brief time. Like it was literally a couple months span. It was I think it's whenever Trump first took office. They lifted that deal. And then I don't know what happened, but they put it back on. So if you are American, you can get there. Because my family looked at going a couple of years ago because we've heard it's just beautiful and we're big scuba divers. And, it hasn't just been raped by tourism.
Yeah.
Which I like. And so I think you can get there if you go through Mexico, but you still have to have like a visa.
Yeah.
So like my wife, she's a German citizen. She can go there without a visa. She can just go, but she'd still have to go the roundabout way to kind of get there.
Yeah. So I did, when we went there, I've been there a few times. We were in Keokoko and they'd take you up parasailing. So if you ever seen parasailing, there's a rope off the back of a boat and you're on your parasailing.
Parachute.
Well, parachute. So they take you up 1,500 feet and the guy you're with, like you're with another guy strapped on with him, he pulls a pin and you free fall down.
Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was
wild.
awesome. I'm like, I don't want to jump. Like I did everything, like jumping out of a plane. Just so I didn't do the free fall. I just did the parachute part. And he just keeps on going around. Like you can see all the resorts, and he lands on the beach.
Huh? That's crazy.
Yeah, like there's no dunking you in the water like the other ones where you're attached to the boat. This one, you go up, you're way up. The boat's like that big. It pulls a pin, and you just sail down.
Wow, that's pretty cool, honestly.
Yeah, the guy who did it, he's he's a paratrooper in the military, or was. Then this is the job he took.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah.
So you met your wife in Cuba on vacation. You guys were like, "Oh, we live close to each other." And then what was it just one of those deals you did that harvest, and then it was like, "Okay, I need something where I can actually have a family."
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Hey, I like my bubble at home, and that's where I wanted to be. I knew I wasn't staying out there. Like I had no plans to stay out there. I was just there for harvest. But yeah, so I came home and got work between my boss and another buddy who was a millwright, and he worked in a lot of the corrugating plants.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever been in one of those, they run steam to basically heat up all their rollers in their system, and it's just smoking hot in there in the summer. And I'm like,
Oh, I bet.
I'm like, pays really well, pays that, your overtime, your time and a half, and double bubble and everything. And I'm like, no, I'd rather work outside. So I went to my boss. Then I'm like, I'll commit to you if you can get the work. So, and he was just rebuilding after kind of the 2008 recession still. So that really took a toll on him and built everything back up even bigger than he had before. So,
wow. So he had a pretty good business before 2008, and then 2008 kind of wiped him out, I guess.
Yeah, he just kind of unloaded his stuff. He had a big circular sawmill and stuff, and a couple logging crews and skidders and stuff, and just had to let it all go. Nobody was buying lumber anymore. And the timber took a shit for price wise. And
is there a way to diversify it all?
That's basically what we've done now, or what he's done. So we've got some contracts with looking after some trails and stuff in our area,
Okay.
which is I think they do it on 3-year contracts. So that helps the firewood, land clearing, and kind of whatever sawmill we do, run the sawmill as well, cut some lumber and stuff. So that kind of spreads everything out enough. You're not dedicated in one.
Yeah. I like the videos you always post of your firewood machine there. What do you call that machine?
Firewood processor.
Yeah, that thing's cool to watch. I get great satisfaction. I think it's just because the colors of it. It's that orange and blue, and it's just so fun to watch all the wood just come out of it.
Oh yeah, especially a lot. Everybody. Oh, I remember splitting wood with my dad with a hydraulic splitter, one piece at a time. And I'm like, yeah, I remember that too. And this is way easier. Single joystick.
Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh, I was just wondering how it works. I mean, you just put like a log in, it cuts it and splits it all in one deal.
Yeah, basically, you load logs onto the live deck. It will take up to a 30-foot log, and I infeed it. Saw comes down, cuts the block, rolls into the splitting chamber. The ram, I push a button. The ram goes out and pushes it through whether a 6, 8, or 12-way splitting wedge. So one split, you have, normally we run an 8-way, so you have 8 pieces coming off that piece of wood. And then up a conveyor and into a giant cone.
Oh, okay. So it just goes in a cone, like you can back a truck up to it and it just drops it in there?
Yeah, you can either back a truck up underneath a conveyor, or we stockpile in our yard as well for, now to December deliveries.
Yeah. Huh. I was wondering how that worked, if you guys like stacked it in a certain way or if you just dumped it in a pile.
Stacking's real labor intensive when you're doing, 700-800 cord of wood.
So after you cut it down and do you like let that pile sit for a year or how's that work?
Normally no. It depends. If we happen to log some jobs in the summer, so that will sit from summer till next May, April, May, when we start processing again. So usually May we get started again. Cracking wood open.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I bet that's a good market. People always need firewood.
Yeah, it's still big around here, and with the price of oil and everything going up, guys still want to continue heating with firewood. So,
do a lot of people have wood stoves in your area?
Still a fair amount, yeah. Yeah. Usually a lot of like country. We're in a small town. We're only about 8,400 people in our town. Yeah. But some in town, but majority like outskirts of town. Guys are burning. Yeah.
I like wood stoves. We still have a few people who have them, but man, I'd love to have one.
Yeah. I don't even have one. It's the cost. If it's not in your house already, the cost to put one in. And we're on natural gas. So you can't compete with natural gas.
Yeah. They're like $3,000 to $5,000 to install.
Yeah.
At least.
And then insurance, if you can get insurance, it seems to be, I know a lot of guys had to remove their stoves, or like insurance just wouldn't cover them anymore. And
that sucks.
It's weird.
Yeah, you can get them where they are actually like part of your fireplace. They're like in your fireplace and part of it. And then that's pretty cool. I kind of looked at getting one of those, but yeah, just to buy it's $3,000, and that doesn't even include installation or anything.
Because how cold does it get for you guys?
Well, it kind of depends. Sometimes it's 60 degrees in the winter or in the summer. Yeah, in the wintertime, we might have weeks where it's 60. But last year, the year before, it was Ponca City, Oklahoma was the coldest place on the planet that morning at negative 25 degrees Fahrenheit.
Holy cow.
It's it's kind of random. We had a week. I think it was 2 years ago that it was that year in February. We had this big ice storm that came through, and I mean, we had a solid week and a half where it was single digits for the whole. I mean, it did not get above like 9 degrees.
Sheesh.
It was cold.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that was one of the coldest weeks I've ever seen. I've lived here my whole life, so. But usually our winters, it just depends on the winter. I mean, they're fairly mild, but they can get pretty bad too. It just
hit and miss.
Yeah, just draw a card that day, and it might be that. It might be. I've seen it before too, where I woke up. It was on Easter one year, and it was in the single digits. It was freezing, and we got snow all night long. We woke up, snow's covering the ground, and then around like 10 o'clock noon, the snow was melting, and then by 3 p.m. it was 55 degrees.
Wow. So when you had that big cold spell, did you have lots of burst pipes?
Oh yeah.
Or yeah.
We weren't as bad though. That was the year that Texas got destroyed because because all of their pipes, especially like Houston area, they're not deep enough. I mean, ours, our stuff's kind of designed to handle that. Now older houses, they still had their issues, still drip, be sure you're dripping your faucets and all that stuff. But yeah, like Houston area, they were screwed, man.
Yeah, I mean, Albert, he was posting stuff, and I seen there's a couple other guys in Icy Weld. He was posting stuff, the pipes burst and stuff. I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. We're just used to it up here, right? It's everything's prepared, I guess.
Well, and what really got them too was their power grid was not built for it. Yeah. So they didn't have heat. So that really hurt them. Like I know that my wife's parents live in Dallas, and they were having like rolling blackouts, and it was random, totally random. So they'd have electricity for 30 minutes or an hour every 2, 3, 4 hours. Sometimes it'd be for a while, sometimes it wouldn't be at all. So, and it was just, there was no set schedule. It just was like, okay, we have power, we need to crank the heater up and, cook our meals and do this, do that. And then, as soon as it was done, it was done. I mean, it's just one of those things.
That's nuts. Yeah. You basically want to get it as hot as you can, as quick as you can. Really?
Yeah. They were burning wood and, which they have a big house, so their little fireplace wasn't doing much, but it did something, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's, it's just, they weren't, Dallas is a little better built for it, but I mean, like, especially the further south you go, the less prepared they are. And then, like I said, just that combined with no power, it was a bad deal. I'm sure they're still probably cleaning up and recovering from that.
Oh yeah. It's the ice storms. We got one in 10 right at Christmas time, and we were out for 7 days. Not us personally, but like my boss, he was out for 7 days. It was just a complete mess.
Yeah. Oh, ice storms are scary. I mean, especially that same year, actually. Well, I guess it was technically this was in March. Well, the October before that, it had been a really warm, wet summer. So the trees, leaves covered, everything. Well, we got an early ice storm, like that first weekend of October. I mean, everything still had foliage on it and stuff like that. So the trees were just so heavy. Man, that ice storm wreaked some havoc. It destroyed power lines. It was knocking people's roofs in with tree limbs, and it was a pretty scary time. I benefited from it because I went and cleared limbs and made a shitload of money in a couple weeks. But
oh yeah. That's basically the same with that. Like when we got that ice storm, that's what we were doing. It was opening trails up, and it was just impassable. Like you didn't get down them.
What kind of trails are you talking about?
These are more like I'll call them 2 tracks, so you can get a pickup truck down them, but they're more, there's 22 kilometers, so I don't know 15 miles or so of these trails, and it's just all through woodlots that we take care of. So there were some parts that were just completely impassable.
What's the point of the trails?
Yeah, just public trails. You can go out and walk and bike and do whatever with them. Yeah, just public land that was given to them.
Gotcha.
By people, I don't know, back in the 50s, 40s and 50s.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So what? Go ahead.
Now, when you guys can you guys lay asphalt year round then?
In our area, yes and no. I mean, it has to be at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit and rising. So, yeah, we can. If it's a cold week and like if we look and we've got a day or two where it's going to be 50 degrees at 10 a.m. and start rising, then yeah, we'll go ahead and prepare for it now. But if it's been frozen for 4 days prior to that, then it's kind of hard. You know, there's a lot of variables because our stockpiles might be frozen. Yeah. And so we can't necessarily make asphalt if all the rock is froze up or something like that. But yeah, we can lay asphalt mostly year round. I mean, there might be several weeks where we don't, but if it's a week where we're good, like our plant doesn't close down, you know, a lot of, you know, you get up to the colder regions of America and they shut down completely in the winter for maintenance and just all that, because it is bad if in that year that Texas lost their power, our asphalt plant, we lost power to it for a night. Whenever it got to -25 or whatever. And it lost power and all the oil froze up inside the tanks. And it was a freaking mess. It took weeks. It probably took the better part of 2 months to get everything fixed back running right.
Jeez. You'd never even dawn on me that an asphalt plant would have a problem like that.
Yeah, we were not expecting that. It was pretty terrifying.
I guess everything, you know, guys, you know, up north and where we are, it'd be prepared, right? Their winter shutdown and all that stuff's out.
Yeah, that's what a lot of them do. They just shut her down and leave it for a while. You know, they might lay their people off or, you know, switch clearing snow or, I mean, whatever. They diversify, do different things. You know, we keep things going. I mean, it's not, like I said, we're not always laying. It obviously slows down, but if like, I've seen years where we're paving it up until almost Christmas. I mean, it's just nice weather, mild, you know, especially lately, the last couple of years, it's like kind of shifted to where it hasn't really gotten just bitter cold till January, February. Yeah. You know, as opposed to like December, January or something.
Yeah, that's usually like the most. Same with us. It's like December can be hit and miss, but January, February is like you're in your bitter cold, or should be. Yeah. And then March can be a crapshoot. You can maybe get a week, or you could get all of March. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. That's pretty much how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My other question I had for you, with asphalt grindings.
Yeah.
What is the best way to lay those in a yard?
I mean, the best way is if you have an asphalt paver and you run them through that. Yeah. I mean, obviously, but if you just get some, like you buy them from somebody, I mean, you can lay them just like laying rock, however you want. The key thing is just make sure it's smooth and compact them good, because they will, especially if you get some real hot days, they will set up. And if you lay it bumpy, eventually it's going to just turn back to asphalt with enough heat and compaction. So it's definitely gonna be rougher. I don't know. I mean, just like rock, but make sure you kind of stay on top of it, especially if you like lay them down and then you get a good rain. You know, it's good to kind of regrade them just to make sure they don't washboard, because they will washboard really bad because the fines will kind of wash out of them. So if you just kind of touch them up after a good rain or two, then that'll help long term, and then just compact them really good.
Yeah, because that's what we got in our yard, and some of it's really good, and some of it we just can't get there for some reason. I don't know whether it's not thick enough. And then we've heard the whole, you got to spray diesel on it to help it go hard, and like, I don't know. I don't think that's the right way.
Diesel will help them get hard. Like if you're doing it while you're compacting.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you're not supposed to do that. But a lot of guys will spray diesel on them to help them pack them down a little bit. I mean, but you got to be careful. If you put too much, then all that oil is going to try and, come off of it. But if you just kind of give a little dusting of diesel, it'll definitely help pack it down. But I mean, if you have access to a roller or something, that helps a lot. And then, we did work for a guy last year. We did a really big millings driveway for this guy. And he calls me and he goes, well, these guys came and knocked on my door saying they wanted to sell me some oil for my driveway. And I was like, well, what is it? And he told me, I can't remember what it was. It's made by Cargill. And he's like, well, what do you know about it? He said that they told me that it would turn these millings into just regular asphalt. And I said, well, it's not going to do that. But I said, I don't know. I don't really know much about it. So I said, if you want to try it, they're only charging you like $300 to spray it. I mean, might as well try it. And he did. And I mean, it actually, I'm sure it was some sort of like a fog seal, or a similar type substance, which is basically just thick black oil. And I don't know. I mean, it looks really good. It bound his stuff together pretty well. I've never personally used it, but it seems to be doing well on his driveway.
Interesting.
So yeah, they make some products out there you can use, but yeah, they can be hit or miss. I mean, everybody loves them. The best is if you can get and it may not make the smoothest ride, but if you can get just milling straight off the road, ones that haven't been crushed. Cause like a lot of guys, they'll get their millings and then they'll take them back and then they'll crush them and screen them. Well, when you crush them, you're getting the oil, like you're breaking up the rock more. So there's not as much oil on the outside of the rock. So that's kind of where you get some of your washboarding and stuff. Yeah. But if you get some that are just straight up asphalt millings, they've got a lot more oil on the rock, and that works pretty well.
Yeah, that's probably explains that good part, because that came right from the highway that was done by us. They were bringing it right over, and we were spreading it out then.
Yeah. Yeah. And now you get a lot of bigger chunks when you do that. Yeah. But, I mean, for a yard, it works pretty well. We sell it to a lot of farmers and stuff, and they use it. I mean, which it's tractors and combines and semis and all that driving on it. So, it's not a super highway they're paving, but I mean, yeah, it definitely holds up pretty well.
Yeah. We use our skeleton bucket to get all the big chunks out. And then you put the regular bucket on. Yeah, we're pretty good.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest thing, just touching up. Because, like, you see millings roads that have hardened up, but they've gotten some big rains on them, and you drive on it, and it's like in Cars, whenever Mater's like, I'm the first one on the new road. And just like, yeah. Yeah, they can get like that if you let them.
Yeah.
Well, man, I saw you put on here eating hot dog on your pizza bun.
Oh yeah.
I love the stupid things that we get known for, and one of those has been using a piece of pizza for a hot dog bun.
Yeah, it worked though. It's the greatest thing. It's that. It was the other thing. Wraps, tortillas. I can put anything in a tortilla and have it. And it's just a vessel.
It's just a vessel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's my little brother's motto, man. I mean, that's all he eats is he'll be like, oh, I'm going to make a roll up. And you never know what a roll up is going to be. It's a pile of shit rolled in a tortilla.
Yeah, that's right. You can do anything. Hot dogs, craft dinner. I can do it anything. I don't do it all the time, but I have. Bachelor life, right? Easy dinners.
Yeah. So I guess before we start wrapping this thing up, I just got to know, what is there anything else about the logging industry, the land clearing industry? I mean, obviously I know that can be a controversial thing, but is there anything that you'd just like people to know, that like misconceptions, myths, anything like that you'd kind of like to debunk?
Yeah. We're not killing the earth. The trees regenerate. You know, we're not tree murderers. They grow back. They come back. It's a sustainable business done right.
Yeah.
Keyword done right. Like, you can't just.
Oh.
Well, you can't go in and land clear and expect a hardwood bush to come back. Like, it takes hundreds of years. That's not the right way to do it. You got to be selective about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you guys are a small operation though. Are there guys that have big operations?
Oh yeah. There's actually a lot of Mennonites in our area. They'll farm during the summer, and then in the winter they'll log. But there's some other bigger guys around us. They've got, the big gear, the feller buncher and the big grapple skidders and stuff. And they're putting out a lot of wood. We're not massive logging quite in our area in southern Ontario, but it's around. But you get northern Ontario and you get into some of that softwood, there's a lot of big guys out there with big gear.
Oh, I gotcha. So obviously in the hardwood, you're not doing it, because like the other one that you hear people complain about is like, oh, well, it is sustainable, they're planting the trees back. But then a lot of your environmentalist people are like, oh, well, but it's monoculture or monocropping. Is that, what's the right term there?
That I'm not too sure. I don't know
that's probably in the softwood side of things.
Yeah, I don't follow a lot into that. I know I've seen some stuff, we're planting so many thousands of trees, but you plant all those trees to have, 50% of them to come up. They count that. They're planting the mortality, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have trees died if they're not planted properly. And
yeah.
Jason Davenport, he can probably answer a lot of those on the softwood side and planting.
Yeah, I've been wanting to hit him up and talk to him. I've messaged him some. He's a cool dude.
Oh yeah, he's got a great podcast too. Smart guy, and gets some good guys on his. He had a forester on there. It was really informative for me, right, hearing on their half.
Yeah, which is so like. I was in, well, it was whenever I was telling you about Broken Bow, how that's kind of our area of the state that we log in. And yeah, I mean, there's logging trucks going by everywhere. And there was I heard a girl, we were at a gas station or something. She's like, it just makes me sad to see all these logging trucks go by. And I'm like, I mean, they can't just go in and destroy the place. I mean, if they go in, and I'm sure probably in the 30s and 40s logging industry, they probably did do that and then realized, oh shit. Now we're out of a job because we cut everything down.
Yeah, but you look around, like, what's your house made out of? What's, like, all the products that come from wood that you use every day and you forget, you're wiping your ass.
Exactly.
Where do you think that comes from?
Yeah. It's amazing how, people are trying to protest to stop oil and gas, stop trees, stop all these things, but that's literally the backbone of how we live is trees, oil, gas, mining, and all these operations anymore are incredibly sustainable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. It's, we got a lot of quarries around here, and it's the same thing. They're putting it back to natural or somewhat natural, turning them into parks. It's, people gotta realize where this stuff comes from. You need it for the world to go around. I know there's other people trying to get, the electric cars and all that, the wind, and if you use everything together, let's work together, right? It's not, it's all got to be this and that's the way it is. We're going to stop everything here. That's not the fix for it. Not in my eyes.
No, you can't eliminate any one of these things. They all play their role. Like if we have a lot of wind farms in our area, and you talk to somebody in the wind industry, and I'm not the biggest proponent of wind stuff, but it's grown on me a little bit as I've educated myself more on it. But like I was talking to a guy in the wind industry, and he goes, dude, he goes, no, windmills are not a sustainable source of energy. But he said when you use them in conjunction with coal burning and in conjunction with natural gas and in conjunction with this, and he's like, wind and solar can be good as a supplement or a tool to these other things. And it's okay. Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Work together.
And that's, I think, like the main thing. People got to understand that they want to fight for that one thing, and that's all I want. But yet, let's just all work together. It's it's logging. Logging has got a big black eye, and oil and gas is getting that now, and we got to get ourselves out of that and get people realizing that it's not all bad, and we've learned from our mistakes, and it's sustainable. It's sustainable every day. Yeah. Yeah. And unfortunately, the people that listen to this podcast probably already know that. And they're probably not the people protesting it, So, oh, yeah, exactly.
That's how it goes. You have people that want to come on and say, yeah, guys, it's not that bad, but we're preaching to the choir here. So, I mean, hopefully somebody hears it and goes, huh, okay, that opened my eyes a little bit,
Yeah. We've had people protest on one of our jobs, and it was just ridiculous. All paperwork in order, and they didn't like the guy who owned it. Was a clear cut, but they didn't like the guy who was doing it, and they thought it was their right to protest, I guess. But we still got on the job. Like, there's multiple laneways into jobs, so we still got on. They were protesting, the feller bunchers running back there, laying trees down. You could hear it running. They think they're stopping us.
They weren't chaining themselves to trees or something.
No, but it's one of those. You got to worry about people sabotaging equipment.
Has that happened?
Not so much to us, to our buddy of ours that has, but to a couple of buddies of ours, actually, it's happened to.
Really?
Yeah, it ticks me off. That grinds my gears.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, people just don't get it, man.
Yeah,
that's what's nice where you take those people and be like, dude, this is the 4th time we've harvested this piece of land right here, and you probably wouldn't even know that.
Yeah, exactly. They just don't get it. Yeah, never anything vandalized really, but had some equipment stolen.
Really?
Oh yeah, our skid steer got stolen. The 60XT case that we have, and the boss. It was when I was in Cuba, and the boss found it 2 years later in town in a driveway, and he called the cops. He already got insurance money for it. And he called the cops. He's like, I found my skid steer. I'm 100% sure it's mine. I have the serial number. And the cop's like, yeah. Comes over and looks, and everything matched. We're still using it today.
And it was still in good condition, huh?
It was a little bit sketchy with the air cleaner missing on it, but it's still going, and that was 10 years ago.
Dude. That's wild. That's the sketchy thing about equipment is like, you leave something on a job, all somebody needs is a key, which aren't that hard to come by. I mean, you can order them online for Pete's sake, and go steal a piece of equipment.
Somebody stole, don't quote me on the model number. It was a Cat 321, like a zero turn. There's only 3 in Canada. And they stole it, or 3 in Canada at that time, stole it. ditched the tracker in some field that from CAT, I guess factory has a tracker on it, and machine gone. They found the head that was with whatever they had, the wrist or whatever that was with it, and a couple other things, but never found the machine.
That's stupid.
People, and it was a brand new machine.
Oh, it was brand new too?
Fairly new. Yeah.
I guess that is the nice thing anymore about the fact that they have, most of them are putting keypads on there or something to where you at least have a passcode. But
yeah,
you know, most of them is like 1212 or something, you know, some stupid code like that. 1234.
Oh yeah, because you got to keep it easy for everyone that uses it to remember, right?
Yeah. I do hear stories. I don't know anybody that's stolen equipment before, but I know some guys that have borrowed equipment before. They got in a bind with their, like, one guy I know was telling me a story about one time his backhoe went down on him, and it was like dark, like they hit a water line or something, you know, 5 o'clock on a Friday, and it was already like 9 p.m. And he goes, there was another backhoe working down the street, so I just ran over there and borrowed theirs for an hour and finished up the job.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. I was like, you did that? And he goes, oh yeah, people do it all the time. I said, people do it all the time, or you do it all the time?
Well, if I do it, everyone else has to be.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, but that's the same. You know, they all run the same key.
Yeah.
But now things are changing. But yeah, it's all the same key.
Oh yeah. Well, shoot, man, we've been going on this for a while now.
Yeah.
It's been a fun time.
Oh, it was a good time.
Be the old. Sure, we pissed some gypsies off. I don't know if we have a lot of gypsies listening to the show, but the gypsies. And do you ever use that pickup line, like, you know, hey baby, you turn my softwood into hardwood or anything like that? That seems like a joke you could use.
No. My wife will shake her head on that one if I said that.
That one wouldn't work for you, huh?
No. I had a great big bulk bag of chicken wings. I was separating it all this morning. And wife came over. Oh, is everything going all right? Yeah, you know, I'm just putting them in bags. I don't know, 15 per bag. I don't know. I'm just winging it.
Damn it.
Oh, the dad jokes.
You can't beat them. Can't live with them. Can't live without them.
Oh, yeah. I just love them because it drives her nuts.
I always tell my wife, you know, we've been together for 7-ish, almost 8 years now. And I always make the joke of, as funny as you thought I was when we first started dating is as unfunny as you think I am now. She's like, yeah, that's about right. Oh, cool, man. Well, I'll let you get back to your Sunday here, and yeah, it's been fun. Good. It's been fun, man.
Oh yeah, it's been a blast. It's turned out awesome. I had a good time.
Man. Cool, dude. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. Tell everybody where they can follow you at.
You can follow me Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. I post a bit on at Skidder Kev on all those platforms.
Cool. And you do lives, you said, once or twice a month?
Yeah, we're in the winter. I try twice a month, but once for sure, usually.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Yep, just hang out and bullshit.
Well, go give him a subscribe on the YouTubes and check it out. I'll have to do that. I didn't know you did that, so
yeah.
I'll hop on some of them and harass you like I do my other friends who do lives.
For sure. Hope to see you there.
Cool, man. All right, guys. Well, thanks for listening. If you like the show, be sure to leave it a 5-star review. And anyways, thanks for listening.